This is the North End. This is the North End.
What up, y'all? It's Paul Forrest. This is the North End Premier League fan channel, a fan channel by fans of the Premier League, for fans of the Premier League, with a little bit of an international flavor, slightly different from most international Premier League channels in that most of us have some sort of Canadian or American accent. You'll find that that may be a point of difference. You may turn this off right now because you think we don't know what we're talking about. But believe me, it might be worth giving us a little bit of a shout, a little bit of a listen, because we kind of know a little bit about the league. We're figuring it out. Don't be elitist. We don't need to have a British accent just to be worth listening to. Who do you think you are, YouTube? Honestly, like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. With me today and with me most times, my good man, Brian Ireland. Brian Ireland from his living room.
Yeah, it is. The last name is Ireland, but I do not have an Irish accent, so I'm also one with an accent that you might not like initially. But believe me, it's worth getting listening to after a period of time. I sound great, and you know,
Brian Ireland, not from Ireland, but his family do come from the hard, mean streets of
Newmarket.
Newmarket.
Yeah.
Newmarket.
There's nothing special about it, Paul. Good to see you, buddy. Good to be here. Looking forward to the chat.
Yeah, I actually kind of forget you're from Newmarket sometimes. I dated a lovely girl from Newmarket for like 3 years, and my mother-in-law lives in Newmarket. I'm in Newmarket all the time.
No, I'm not. Place. I left there when I was 18.
Terrible
it was
place.
An awful place to live.
Yeah,
so.
Obviously. Get the fuck out of there. Azaz, from, I can only assume, his closet somewhere where he keeps a billion jerseys.
My kitchen.
Has an accent, by the way. Legitimacy right here.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's it.
There you go.
Yeah. We like to call him our respectable accent.
Yeah. We had Luke for a while, but it's Birmingham. It's not respectable.
No, it's not. It's not. What is your accent anyways? Your accent is like deep Welsh, right?
It's actually where your hat is, mate. I'm actually originally from Manchester.
Oh,
so
that's right.
you
You're one of those Manchester Scousers.
He's a mank.
We're very, very rare. Just as rare the other way, but we meet each other actually sometimes. I've met a few United fans from Liverpool, and we just look at each other like it's fucking hard. It's fucking hard supporting the other side.
I have this vision of that Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other.
Yeah.
Speaking of memes, JP California. I don't know.
I mean, he's a meme.
Look at him.
I'm a meme, I guess.
Look at him.
I'll take it. It was so hot today, guys. It was 85 degrees.
Fuck, here he goes.
Oh, here we go. The weather.
I was
always.
going to wear a tank top and flip flops. How's it up there?
God. It's actually quite warm. It was 17 degrees.
Really
today,
nice.
Which is about 65, 6.
Oh, it's beautiful. That's perfect. All right.
Pretty nice weather.
Yeah.
Pretty nice.
JP, just a heads up, we're gonna start getting pretty arrogant about our weather soon because you're gonna start complaining about like it's so hot, the trees are exploding on fire, and we're gonna be like, I'm wearing shorts today.
You guys,
super comfortable here in Canada.
It's actually going to be hell here come August because it's been so rainy. Everything's green and beautiful, but that just means everything's gonna die and turn into fire kindle. So California might literally be hell, like on fire.
Guys, like and subscribe because honestly, JP needs the money to help repair his house once it burns down from California.
The road to 1,000 is on, guys. We want to get there. We're about halfway, I think. So.
Preferably before California sinks into the sea, and we lose JP forever to Atlantis.
Like and subscribe.
Thankfully, I'm a little bit farther from the beach, but I'll take it.
Yeah, gents, it's been a wild day. Number one, let's take a pause just to talk about Wrexham today.
Come on,
oh my God.
We can all say we're cheering for Wrexham, right? I think we should just take a pause and enjoy that.
What a save. Ben Foster, come on the podcast.
Amazing.
Tell us about that save, dude.
Oh man, what a game! I didn't get to see the games. You guys who watched?
Yeah.
You did? I was able to watch the highlights after, and obviously all the YouTube stuff. But what a wonderful
Our guy Liam is back.
That's football.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. So I was meant to be working. I had it on in the background. Just one of those like IP TV things. We don't endorse them. This is not a North End endorsed thing.
Get your VPN.
Nord.com.
If anybody wants to
sponsor, you want us, come get us, Nord. We are very cheap.
Yeah.
Little Nord
However,
VPN.
So what a game. The first half, I was very impressed with Notts County. I actually felt like the free kick was a slap in my face because how many times are Trent Alexander-Arnold or Mo Salah lining up to like take a free kick, and my brother and I always message each other like, we ain't scoring this goal.
Well,
Right,
and
then
Harry Kane does the same thing as He scored one free kick against Aston Villa, the first season he actually played for the first team, and it was a deflection.
Right.
Yet he's still for every free kick. You're not good at it, man. Like, what are you doing? Move on.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
And then the fifth,
bring Harry Kane and Spurs into a conversation about
he started with Liverpool. I just went with it.
It's facts. Like, Premier League players need to be better at free kicks.
That's the only point we're talking about.
If a fifth tier guy can take a free kick like that, like the goal doesn't move, right?
What a finish.
The area is the same size. So if he's curling it with his left foot, if he's curling it
in a very high pressure situation as well. Like
beautiful.
An unbelievable goal. Very, very.
If nobody's tracking this, by the way, for the audience, 97th minute, Wrexham needed to win. They gave away a penalty. Ben Foster, the goalie on loan, who came out of retirement and has the best content right now as a result, dives across the net to make a save after having a real stinker the game before and upsetting a lot of Wrexham fans.
Yeah, there was he shouldn't play the next game. A bunch of
he was a Hollywood signing. He was a content signing.
Get him out of my club.
That save was top tier. That was a great save.
It was. It was a good penalty, JP.
It was a good penalty too.
Was good on it. He read I think that was the one thing I noticed about it, and he talked about it afterwards. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I saw Ben Foster be interviewed, and he basically said I saw his body language. I understood what he was going to do based on the shape of his body, and I knew I was picking the right direction. And then it was just get a hand on it. Yeah, and he actually got
he got a hand, and then it hits the post.
No, it's off his second hand.
Second hand.
Right hand, left hand.
Oh, okay. I was like, damn. What a save.
Unbelievable save.
So Wrexham doing what we would all hope they do, and hopefully they continue and get promoted, and it all feels amazing.
A great interview with Ryan Reynolds and Ben Foster after the game. I recommend go and watch it. It's on YouTube. Amazing, and just such a funny thing to see them fall in love with football the way we all do. So, there's famous Americans who like it too, despite JP's lack of anybody caring about who he is. There's other people who matter.
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan subscribes to me. Thank you. He talks.
Love you, JP.
Love chat. He asked him for advice. Ryan, I'm here, man. Get at me.
Yeah. Don't talk about Ryan Reynolds. He's Canadian royalty. Leave his name out of your mouth.
You are not worthy. You are not worthy.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Guys, but also Premier League. Obviously, this weekend was a giant event. There's a lot of storylines to talk about. I think at this stage of the season, we can probably start focusing on the games that really matter the most. In no particular order, we find ourselves looking at a top four race. Both Man United, Newcastle, and Tottenham all winning over the weekend. Still very close, neck and neck. Not a lot of movement. Teams that needed to win showed up. They won. We got ourselves a real top four race. It's exciting as all hell. Relegation race. Man, there's been a lot of movement there. It is still, I think, the tightest relegation race I can remember in the Premier League with
probably ever. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I think if
people are starting to say that, Brian, it is being talked about kind of openly now.
There's 8 teams in it, or 7 or 8 teams in it. I mean, some of them are starting to push themselves a little bit above it, and it's getting more about 5 or 6. But still, for the last few weeks, it's
2 wins. All it takes is 2 wins for a team to pull out of that.
It's gong show. 6 teams within 3 points. It's insane.
Yeah. So there's that, and then there's a couple just above it that could still be pulled in. There's 4 games left, right? So,
but then ultimately the real action was
more than 4
Arsenal,
games.
Liverpool. Arsenal with a 2-0 lead, squandered, blown away, real clusterfuck. Not that Liverpool aren't deserving of coming back, but honestly, that was a game Arsenal needed to put to bed, and they didn't. And as a result, Man City are in their own driver's seat. They need to beat Arsenal. Yeah. They need both control their fate to a certain extent.
That game's going to be incredible.
You do not want to give Man City a chance to control their fate. It is Hollywood stuff that's happening now. We talked about Wrexham, but we are talking about some real Hollywood shit happening in the Premier League this season. And it would be great if the storyline was different from the usual Pep Guardiola win, but even if it was a
final 3 days,
even if it happened that way, this has been much more exciting than it has been in the past 3 or 4 years.
Question for you guys, if you don't mind, is this the biggest bottle job from any club, and of course I am using my Spurs bias here, and I do not care, of any club who were 12 points clear of the next team, 12 points clear in January to not win the league. I mean, that's a pretty big slip if they don't end up winning it. No,
I don't think so, because I think there was certain game in hands and 12 points, but it wasn't equal on games played at one point when they had that 12-point lead. Like, there was always a caveat of Man City had to have certain games rescheduled, specifically because of the Queen. Was one
it was like one game at one point, but Arsenal had games in hand as well.
It was 1 or 2. I'll be very clear. When I hear you say that, it feels like a Spurs fan who wants
said
it
it
to
in
be
advance.
true.
Yes,
I did.
I
give
mean,
it
in jest.
I cannot say that.
I did start it.
Wait.
For
If I
Arsenal
can
to
just
even
be
be in this race with Manchester City
killing
is
me, okay, Paul? It's killing
insane.
me.
So no, for me, it's not a bottle job at all.
I think it's a massive bottle job. Period.
If I
Go
can
ahead.
just be
Go ahead,
devil's
Ben.
advocate, Paul Forrest also just said this was the best race in like 5 years, and 3 of those years we had a title that was decided by 1 point.
Yeah,
which
I
is
mean,
also
come on.
a very Man United thing to say. So
yeah. Talking about bias.
When Liverpool and Man City are going at it neck on neck, I get you have to watch like
the
that,
blinders
but,
are
like,
on. Yeah, the blinders are on.
this title race might not even make it to the last day of the season. Last year, Liverpool were winning it with 20 minutes to go. That's how crazy last year's title.
I think
race
the interesting
was,
thing about this one is, and it's kind of the same interest, but Arsenal have done similar to what Liverpool did in, believed in a coach, let the coach build, and then the coach eventually got to a point where they got the right players in place and are able to compete with a Man City who, as we know, have spent a ton of money over the years. So I think that there's that, so it's kind of similar in that sense. But I agree with you, Azaz. I think the Liverpool ones were closer and closer, like as far as points, it was 1 point, 2 points, like very, very close all the way to the end.
Yeah.
So we'll see if it stays that way with this one, but it's the Premier League. It's been like that for years. And
Just
it's
talk.
always
Stop
like that.
waving your fucking hand around. I know
I'm
you're a
waiting,
teacher.
man. I'm waiting.
Interrupt.
That's what we
No,
started.
you're not
with.
waiting. You're sitting there doing this. Either talk or fucking stop waving your hand
Interrupt.
around.
God damn, I'm polite. I wait for people to finish their sentences.
We're Canadian. We're
Fuck's
polite.
sake,
You're American.
apparently.
You're not.
Anyways, I think it's very interesting because Arsenal were really on like the abyss for a little bit. They could have really lost it after Wenger, and for them to come back and be challenging for the title against a team that's been extremely dominating over the last decade, right? What have they won? Like 5 Premier League titles in the last 9 years? Like, that's pretty impressive.
What are you talking about? That was early 2000s, man. That's like a long time ago. Spurs have
Yeah.
finished above Arsenal for the last 7 seasons. And haven't won the league.
Maybe I said the teams wrong here. Arsenal are a team that
what are you
have
talking
not
about,
been
Brian?
doing well. Man City have been
I
a
missed that.
juggernaut.
I apologize, JP.
You
Sorry.
bring in Tottenham again.
I know.
No,
JP's
I
like going
just-
back in time a little. I'll be honest, JP. You're going back
I'm
in
going
time.
back
too
over like
far.
a 10-year
Too far.
period, right? Like
Fair.
Arsenal were really nothing. They were a team trying just to get back in the top 4 or 5 years ago. And now they're a team that's in the first place against a team that's been winning the Premier League over and over for the past decade. This is incredibly interesting to me. I really like it. It's
Okay, JP,
entertaining.
you're just kind of no offense, but this is just a statement of the obvious. Like, what are we doing here? We're just talking about how impressive Arsenal is. Like,
I mean,
is it a
I'm
bottle
saying
job,
how
JP, or
impressive
not?
the final
JP,
final
is it
run
a
in
bottle
Is it a
job or
bottle
not?
job
I
if they
don't
win?
think so.
Oh, come on.
I don't think so.
12 points.
I
in
am
January.
inclined to also agree. Like, fuck, man, like they're
Bottle job.
not as good a team as Man City on paper, and for them to have made this as tight as a competition as it has been, and they still have the lead, they still have the chance to win this.
Arsenal are a normal team. Man City are the juggernauts.
They could
they're not
still win the
bottling
league.
it.
Like, I think until they don't win the league and there's no chance of them winning the league, I don't know how I feel comfortable calling it anything close to a bottle.
The question was, if they don't win the league, is it a bottle job? Not current state of
But
the
no.
situation.
even that, I don't know if how
12
much
points
I'd
in
feel
January.
comfortable calling it a bottle job.
Against
Given
a team that has $1 billion
Man
wrapped
City.
up in their freaking players. Like, I don't call it a ball job.
like Man City have a guy who
going
might
to
score
destroy.
40 goals this season. Like, it's so
That's not a bottle job. That's you survive really, really long.
yeah. And I know you want it desperately to be a bottle job so that you can go
12
to
points, biggest bottle
He
job
can
ever
say,
in Premier League history. Never
Tottenham won this
in
title 15
Premier
years
League
ago,
history is
and
a
Arsenal
team
had a
led
bottle
by
job.
12 points and not won the title. That's fact.
Well,
So,
hopefully
bottle
they win
job.
it then. Hopefully
Bottle
they
job.
win it. Hopefully you
asterisk that it was not
Yeah.
12 points with an equal number of games played.
It was one game difference in January.
3 points.
Maybe you got to earn the 3 points.
Yeah, it's Man City. Come on. Like, Come on. What are we talking about here? Okay, question to you guys now, because this is starting to heat up as a question that people are throwing out into the world. If the league were to like rock and roll end today or tomorrow, the question I'm going to pose to you guys that people are throwing out into the world is, who would you have as the league MVP as of today? And I've started hearing like other
player, or are we talking about anything?
Well, a player is an MVP.
Fair. Okay. Yeah.
So yes, a player. But like, who for you is the most significant, important player of this season? I've heard a lot of content shows out there actually say some names I wouldn't even consider to be in the running, but they're adamant about certain players. So I started getting me thinking of like, who do we think maybe is that guy this season?
I'd probably
JP. I'm going to start with you because I
Okay,
feel like you want to say what you're going to say, and we all know what it's going to be.
Saka.
Really?
No. I'm just saying that's fucking you guys, especially a Tottenham fan. It's Haaland. Like, you guys all said he was going to be good. I said he was going to be freakishly good, and he's been nothing besides freakishly good. Yeah, maybe in the last 8 weeks he's had a little bit of a dip in form, but he's still at something like 40 goals for his team. That's not included. That's not just that's all comps. He's like the fastest person to ever get to 40 goals in all comps. Mm-hmm. For his first season in the EPL, it's scary what he might do.
Can I just chime in quickly on this? If we're not going to talk about what we were talking about previously about the bottle jobs, do we not say the same thing about Man City when we give Haaland credit? So this is a team that is stacked with players, with a bench, with a coach that have spent a ton of money. So do we not discount that the same way we just discounted Arsenal's position against City? Because to me, he's at City. Of course, any good striker in that team with that coach with that money,
but they've had good strikers, and they've never. How many? Like, who's leads the league for most goals in a season?
Do you actually think you could plug in any striker and they would do it?
I think any. So you could put Lewandowski, you could put Harry Kane, you could put. There's all the big striker. Any big striker.
Harry Kane would be MVP if he was at Man City too.
Any he would be for sure. Any big striker in world football right now in that team with that coach gets those goals or more.
No, top 3 or 4
okay.
players.
I mean, it's an interesting point. I don't know how you legislate for that kind of an opinion. If you can, like, replacing one guy for Harry Kane is like, I think,
you're
pretty difficult.
I said a couple others, so I don't know why you can't. You could put Benzema in that team and he scores just
because you're talking about hypothetical. This guy's actually doing it. I don't want to not give him credit for doing it just because somebody like Harry.
You're
Kane
also picking like the first and second and third other best strikers in the world. We're not saying like 10th or 11th or 12th. We're saying
I didn't say 10th or 11th as well. I've said the best strikers in the world. That's who they pay for. This is Man City. They pay for the best. Any one of the best they pay for goes into that team and scores a shit ton of goals.
I personally would never take it away from the player.
Okay, well,
because somebody else could do the same thing that was like on a top tier level around the world. But JP, if they do not win, and as of right now, as of today, they would not win the Premier League. If they don't win the Premier League and Arsenal do, you still think Haaland's the guy for MVP?
It's a good question.
That's a really I don't have an answer for you because
my answer is actually an Arsenal player.
I think it as a coach, I think it would have to be Arsenal. As a fan, I want to say it's still Haaland just because of the sheer freakish numbers, but
I'll be clear. No disrespect to your coaching credentials. It's your fan opinion I care about.
It's funny because I had something just like that happen to me this year as a coach. So where they still gave it to the second place team, the MVP, and I'm like, what the fuck?
We won, man.
I know we won with shutouts.
We'll circle back to you then, Brian. Let's hear your pick. If it ended today, MVP.
I sadly watch too much Arsenal trying to hope that they'll lose because it's like the other time I get satisfaction is when Spurs win and they lose.
Secret Arsenal lover.
Odegaard for me has been so important for the way they play creatively. As a captain, he's done everything you would want a captain to do in the center of the pitch and create and make things happen.
Is he a captain?
Yeah, well, sometimes he's not always a captain, but a lot. Yeah, I've seen it. He wears the armband a lot.
He's the club captain now. He is the club captain.
I think he is. Yeah, I wasn't sure if he's club captain, but I know he captains a lot.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's
Yeah, he is.
absolutely brilliant. Like when it comes to his
Yeah.
creativity, his understanding of just winning. Like just something about him. He's doing something special there, and I hate it, but I'm also willing to accept that that's the reality of the situation. I don't think that's why. Like when it comes to City, I don't really feel that about Haaland because of course he's going to get all those chances. It's City. Whereas with Odegaard, he's doing it and he's creating everything around him, and all the players are kind of sort of getting on the end of things, making those run in between the lines. He's doing all the stuff that type of player can do really well, and then they're benefiting from it. So, yeah, for me it would be Odegaard. I think he's been unreal, and I would take him at Spurs in a second. He's better than Christian Eriksen ever was, and that kills me, but it's true.
Zaz, what's up, buddy?
So firstly, I think it's interesting that both of the people that have been mentioned so far are Norwegian.
Norwegian, yeah,
Like
I was going to say that.
a bit of a Norwegian
Renaissance
blitz coming, in world football. I'm gonna go Haaland. The reason I'm gonna say Haaland is because, unfortunately, Player of the Year in the Premier League is voted in the next couple of weeks. They don't wait till the end of the season, which is so friggin' stupid.
So dumb.
Yeah, so stupid.
Let's not do that, Azaz. Let's not be the Premier League. Let's be our own.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So if everything ended today, I would have Haaland. Not just because Arsenal are sitting on top. I just think the numbers are ridiculous. To Paul's point, he has gone and done it. Like with everything else, it's theory. Yeah, I just think the sheer number of goals, the number of times the best goal scorer in the league, Alan Shearer, probably Harry Kane, definitely Van Nistelrooy, Henry, Suarez, Salah, like the number of times people have won Player of the Year because they got the most goals, and this guy's outscored everyone. So I would go with Haaland. Forrest, how about yourself?
Odegaard was always kind of the guy I had in my head. And then I started hearing the arguments for Saka, and I got slowly converted into thinking Saka would be my pick. And the reasons are like double digits on assists and goals from the right wing position. And he is just so good. Like the eye test on this guy is that he's just so much better than everybody else in the league playing on the right side. Like I know Mo Salah is your guy, but like this season, this dude has just like brought it. Like
So my question is, if City win the title, is it still Saka?
I'm very clear about this. This is dependent to how this race finishes. If Man City win, they're doing it on the back of the goals of Erling Haaland. If Arsenal win, they're doing it on the back of Saka and Odegaard kind of
and Martinelli.
And a bunch of other guys are doing like that team is well balanced. But again, I mean, we say it's on the back of Haaland for Man City, but it's not like they don't have other guys scoring goals as well. Like
or a fabulous defense.
They just don't have the sheer volume that he contributes. I do think, and I would like to see that the league MVP be dependent on which team wins. This is such a tight race, and they're both really strong squads. It's not like Leicester City where Mahrez was the only guy doing the goal scoring. So by the end of the season, it's like that's your guy because he's been carrying them offensively. Arsenal spread out their goal scoring. They spread out their playmaking. So that's the great decider is who at the end of this is going to be the title winner. As of today with Arsenal in the lead, I think I would be picking Saka as the MVP based on that. But Odegaard's like a very close second. And I think Odegaard 2 weeks ago was my guy. I kind of just I got convinced by the sell that's going on right now of Saka being the guy. And I was like,
I kind of think I would agree with you there, Paul. I do think that the relationship with the two of them is a big part of it. Like I think you could flip because of what they both do in that final third together, and obviously with the players around them. Annoyingly good.
And I mean, he's not going to be in this league MVP discussion, and nor should he be. But like what Haaland is able to do with Kevin De Bruyne.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like the amount of goals I've seen him score was just like, oh shit, okay, well all you had to do is jump.
Like,
Yeah,
Oh.
De Bruyne's delivery is adds 10 goals
yeah.
to
I would say Holland's having to do a little bit more. There's been a few freakish goals where he's like doing some acrobatic shit to get on. That the bike goal this weekend was insane.
Yeah, but
He's
you
had
are
a
picking the
few.
sexiest goal of the season and saying that's what he does. And I can pick you 10 goals where all he did was do this.
tap.
Yeah. He's got the most tap-ins. He has got the most tap-ins apparently.
But you have to be
I'm not
in
thinking
that position. when he is
100%.
frequently
I
good.
said he's my player of the
I would
season.
100%, as any player would, I would 100% take 10 tap-ins over 10 vertical spectacles because those spectacles hurt when you land, man.
Forgive me
Forgive
if I butcher this quote, but there was a quote I read recently, and it was talking about like the difference between Ronaldo, Messi, and now Haaland, and sort of how specifically with Messi. And Messi was a small player that did big player things, and Haaland is like a big player that does small player things. Sort of like the technical in like getting in those spaces and doing these really magical things. And he's this big ass Viking, where he was this little guy who could just get through everything, right? A really cool comparison the way they spoke about it. And I was like, oh man, that's a good way to talk about it. Anyway, I don't know if I butchered it or not, but it was an interesting comparison, I thought.
I cannot wait for him to go off to Real Madrid.
Yeah, me too. Get out of the league. Get out of the league.
This next question is also interesting because I think this is starting to get discussed a lot, and a lot of the channels are talking about breakout star or young player of the year. There is no rookie of the year awarded in the Premier League. It's a very North American thing to say that. I actually think I want to frame
young
this
player
as
of the year, though. There's young player of the year.
There's a young player, but it's not the same.
But it's not the same.
Like, Saka could win it, and he had a
I mean, technically, he's right. Saka could get young player of the year this year.
21 and under, I think you're young player of the year, even if you've been in the league for 5
years. And
that's different.
It's not disrespectful by that means, but it's also like he's not a young player by what I would prefer.
Rookie means like it's your first season, whereas young player you could been in the season for 4.
So when I pose this question, I do mean rookie, breakout star, but I really mean rookie. Like I'll give you my example. Like Garnacho from Man United until he was injured would be my rookie of the year. Did a job, scored lots of goals, wowed me a lot. I was happy with him. So I'm posing the question, is there anybody that you guys found that stood out this year that falls into what we would call a rookie? Not necessarily that he's new to the league. There's a few breakout stars that we hadn't really heard of that are maybe 22, 23. The Japanese kid from Brighton, for example, not really a rookie. Yeah, I'm talking like find me a kid that we can.
I have one that.
All right, I got one.
And it's the City kid who was playing right back. What was his name? Is it
damn it,
Lewis? What's his name?
Yeah. Lewis.
That kid, he was 18 and he came into a City
insane.
side and he was like just kept playing week in week out. I can't think of his name. I'm looking at their
Lewis.
Yeah,
Lewis. Yeah, wow. Like, and just his
and the level of
maturity,
his understanding of his role,
the best players in the world
is unreal. He's playing from a right back to a holding mid in the same game because that's how they're adjusting the field.
His tactical nous and awareness was insane, and so that would be that he would be that player for me. And I don't think there's any player that touches that.
I got one that's a lighter comparison. Evan Ferguson from Brighton, Hove Albion. He's 18 years old. He has 4 goals in 13 appearances. He's only started 13 games, and he's
big effect though.
He is shocking. Like if you haven't seen him
come off the bench quite a bit for those goals. He's done really well.
It's how he plays. His touches into space every single time are perfect. Where he sets himself up either to make a perfect pass or to have a perfect shot. He always touches it away from the opposition, just absolutely magically. I mean, I'm gonna throw this out there and say he kind of looks like a young Harry Kane.
Yeah, 4 goals, 2 assists off the bench in 13 games is
I mean,
statistic, man.
The hype train on this kid is really interesting too.
It would be interesting to see where he ends up.
I think it's like maybe an English hype behind it.
It might be, but
it's like I know he's not English, but like he's coming out of the Premier League and he's a young, talented guy. He looks a little bit like Harry Kane. Like there's a lot of people talking this kid up, and I'm like, I
mean, cool. 4 goals, 2 assists in 13 games off the bench.
He's Irish.
Pretty impressive.
Oh, okay.
The one I would say he's not a rookie. The one I would say doesn't has only just come into the league recently is Bruno Guimaraes. Has been incredible at Newcastle. Yeah. Definitely not a rookie, but breakout stars in. To me, when he plays Newcastle play, and to
rookie
see when
rookie
Newcastle
for the Premier League, essentially, right?
Yeah,
I'm not going to accept that.
No worries.
I can give
No
it to him.
worries.
Come on.
I would have also then gone Garnacho, to be honest. I feel like
Yeah,
in
he's been
terms
brilliant.
of in terms of like a young rookie, like a pure
Yeah.
definition, then I would.
Yeah,
I
him
would
and
go
Lewis.
with
Him and
Garnacho.
Lewis to me have been the two standout, like young players who are like at the
Mhm.
level immediately when they come in. You can see them do it.
I also like that Leeds forward Wilfred Gnato. Gnato, how do you say that as the last name? The Italian. He's 19.
There you go,
years old.
Paul. You got your name.
There you go, dude.
I'm not ready.
He's
to
worse
know.
than you, Paul.
Gnato.
He's worse than you with the
Gnito?
pronunciations. Right?
Gnato.
That's a really dated reference when you talk about me pronouncing things. I've been fine for a long time. You
I
just
know,
guys
but
don't
you know,
notice
it's still gotta pull it out every now and
it.
again.
Liam's still busting out the Evan Ferguson.
Okay,
Okay, so
you need to change your picture, Alex. That picture
we are
doesn't
going to
apply anymore.
pause because I think this is important. We are introducing a new segment to the show. We are excited about this. Essentially, we are going to ask our friend JP California to California.
You got to take off.
By the way, I can't represent all
Are-
Americans. I'm just really
Are you
bad
ready?
with names? Like
As an
I'm
American
notoriously bad with names.
from America.
What's your name again?
This is the name I want you to pronounce.
Fuck.
Take off the break. Yeah. There we go. There we go.
Edward.
You got to do the whole
Read it
thing,
all.
man.
Oh fuck. Odesane Edward. Odesane Edward.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Amazing. And that has been and that's it. That's all we're gonna do. We're not gonna dwell on it.
I love it.
It's a 30-second segment.
So this is
Like and
sometimes what
subscribe.
happens when a season progresses. I do this myself. I always get a little bit obsessive when I look at the Premier League and I want to like raid teams and improve my team, Man United. I always look at the bottom of the table because you can get those gem players out of a relegated team. Robertson, I think, was one of the better players, not ultimately as prestigious, but Harry Maguire, once upon a time, was rated out of that same Hull team by Leicester. So the question is for you guys, if the drop happened today, bottom three teams, and if you guys really feel like West Ham are going to go down or Leeds are going to go down, we could expand the poach outside of who's actually in bottom three right now, because it would inform who you're cheering to drop down. But who would you want to raid for your teams from the relegation drop?
I'll go first. Obviously, we're not allowed. You gave us a restriction on a player that we're not allowed to pick. So I'm gonna pick the other one that you should have put a restriction on.
Well, let's talk about it. Madison should be the easiest pick. Everybody says because Leicester right now are in the drop.
There's another one. That you forgot.
He's going to go to Newcastle, so I'm being a little bit difficult in saying you can't pick Madison.
I'm going with James Ward-Prowse, best free kick taker on the planet at the moment, and fits into Spurs midfield perfectly, and would be nice to have somebody who can take a free kick at our club. So James Ward-Prowse for me, Southampton.
James Ward-Prowse. I think he's going to be a popular pick. Azaz.
So we also had Wijnaldum as well in this kind of a situation. So there's definitely value to be found. The needle in me wants to go and poach someone from Everton, but there's no one really there.
Who would you? This is
Dele Alli's coming back there. Maybe you could
quick adjacent conversation. I talked to somebody about this, and there is no value coming out of Everton. Like
There's
there is
none.
nobody that they would be able to sell for a decent price if they go down, or even if they want to like
Dominic Calvert-Lewin, maybe.
I mean, for
get
he's
a
been
little bit
injured
for
for
him?
2 years.
He's been so unfit, man. He can't stay fit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't a bag of balls maybe for him, but
I mean, he's the only one that has like enough
I
quality.
like
to
Alex's
give value.
Onana. That's not a bad shout.
Onana's a good shout, actually. I don't mind that.
Yeah. But you're not going to get what you paid for him because I think they paid like 40 mil
Right.
for him.
I think
so
Leicester-
we went tangent.
Yeah.
Who would you have?
I'm gonna have to keep it boring and say the same thing. We need a midfield overhaul, and that doesn't just include the people who are going to be starting. I actually think we're going to need certain quality on the bench as well. So Ward-Prowse for me, I feel like Liverpool get enough free kicks in and around the penalty area, loads of corners. They all mostly come to nothing. So I'm going to go Ward-Prowse as well. Boring as it is.
I have a second
Liverpool
pick when
should-
we get to it, because
Liverpool should have also gone for Southampton's Lavia, because that's a good holding mid, and he's like 19, and he'd be a
Is
good
that your
pickup
pick,
for Liverpool.
JP?
That is not my pick for Villa. My pick.
Hang on, because you just talked about him, and he is my pick.
Oh, there you go.
Okay,
Lavia would be my dude.
Yeah.
19 years old, Manchester City academy player, was never going to break into that team because you know what that team's all about. But this guy, at the stage of his development right
next
now,
sort of, when
I don't know what he's going to end up being.
for that.
He's more than He's not as
I
he's
just
not
mean
going to be a Casemiro.
Casemiro's getting older, so you need to bring in some youth. Is he the good?
He might play beside a Casemiro.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So not the same position, you would say.
Yeah, and he
No.
probably would be the guy that you would buy as a project to get him going.
I don't know.
Yeah.
enough about him to run
Seasons.
that.
Where he gets
but
20 games, but you're looking for 2 years down
The
the
hype
road.
train
What
on
could he
this
be?
kid was
Yeah.
really
Really
big.
good.
Right.
And he's not blowing the world apart right now, but like
But
what
he
he is
plays-
able to
he's
do and where you can see him improving at 19, you're buying him on potential, but I think you could probably get him for a snip. I think he would be a really good investment. As Man United, I would want that to start getting in young guys who could be midfield players. He wouldn't be the main target for my midfield, but I want to bring him in to like start building for 2 or 3 years down the road, kind of midfield. Anyway, JP,
And
who's
he's
your guy?
like
Who's your guy?
KDB? Yeah, sorry, go on.
I'm going with Nottingham Forest's Brennan Johnson. He's 21 years old. He can play in an 8, a 10, or kind of an outside forward or an outside mid. He's creative. He's very good. I think if they go down, he could be up for a cheap 15 or 20 million pounds. And I think at 21 years old, he has a lot of growth and ability in him. And I like him quite a bit because Villa need 1 or 2 attacking players in that kind of mold. A little small for me. I'd like somebody a little bit bigger, but I like him. I like him a lot.
I have a second pick, if that's okay, just because I was trying to decide between the two, but I have a second one anyway. Morgan Gibbs-White from Forest, 5 assists, 2 goals, and a 10 for a Forest team that we know are struggling, but like he does something. He's young, very young player.
Yep.
He would be one that I would like. You put in with a team that has got a lot of
I was stuck between those two, but I went with Brennan Johnson because he has 8 goals.
Yeah, good shout. I just thought Gibbs-White. When I remember playing against Nottingham Forest, being like, "Fuck, that player's good, man. He's young and he's really quick. His decision making in tight space is really, really good."
Gibbs-White has a weird kind of career because like he was pretty hyped up at a young age. I think he's part of the international setup for the under 21s for England.
Yeah.
He was like this big thing at Wolves. He was bought for like a lot of money for what he was from Wolves to go over to Forest to I think he reconnected with a manager that managed him when he was playing for the under 21s for England, and he's got something to him, but
it's whether he gets there or not. I think again,
I feel like he's had enough Premier League time to like start showing it more consistently than what he's been doing.
I think at Forest though he's done well considering where he is, but I think
sure. And it's hard to tell like any player coming out of Forest. Like there's so many things wrong with Forest. Like it was my second.
It's hard because I feel like they got a few defenders there that are young and could turn into something like Scott McKenna and Neco Williams. But it's hard to tell because they're so bad in defense. You just
what's that fella from Williams? What's his first name again?
Nico.
Yeah.
Okay, I said Neco, but
Neco
it is Nico. I was like,
Can you just play that? Could you just play that again?
Yeah, Neco Williams.
Every time he pronounces something, Paul, you've got to play.
That's going to be a long episode for us.
It's fine. It's only like 10 seconds.
It'll add up real fast.
It's hilarious. So
it will. Neco Williams. Yeah, cool. So does this change? Like, would you guys be looking at? Like, do you guys do what I'm describing though? Like, would you start looking and paying attention to the drop and like kind of cheering for? Leeds to drop because there's a certain Italian kid coming out of the Leeds that you might be able to get, or like I
think a lot of teams
influence you.
I think a lot of teams right now, I don't know if it influence me or not, but it would influence certainly if you're a team that's looking to build a squad that has good solid depth in it. You're going to look at players that were arguably the better players in those teams that are going down, like a Madison, like a Ward-Prowse, where you kind of go, they've got a ton of experience. They've done well in those teams, despite the teams not being performing at the highest level. And if they fit into the system that you have and that what it is you require to sort of make sure that your squad is as strong as it needs to be in the positions you need them in. So absolutely, because you're going to get them cheaper, right? They have to sell. They just lost a ton of money, right? They've gone down the league. Right. Crap, we've got these big.
But
players.
like, as you watch these games on the weekend, Brian, are you going to find yourself kind of cheering for that team, for that player that you want to get to go down?
Oh yeah,
I
am desperate for Leicester to go down. That would be great because I do think I know Madison. I know there's the thought of Newcastle. Conte apparently turned and it's rumors, and I get that. I'm not speaking as if it's 100% true, but the rumors were that Conte turned down Madison in the summer, even though we could have gotten him, and I think that's still in the works potentially. And I've seen it recently in media as well that it's kind of a done deal, although I don't know that I believe that until somebody says something.
I like Jack.
But it's exactly what Spurs need: 4-2-3-1 with Pochettino ish as a coach and Madison as a 10, and we start winning games again and start playing fucking football, because otherwise it's boring.
Pochettino-ish. Well, that's a different kettle of
worms.
If you could choose between
Tottenham or Newcastle, it's only one option, and it ain't Tottenham.
I disagree. London is very attractive, and Spurs, as much as you think that nobody wants to go to Newcastle, dude.
They'll pay him a lot more.
Yeah, maybe, but
they got the money. I will tell you that for a brief period of time, I was kind of looking at Wolves, and I was like,
ooh.
I don't want them to go down, but if they went down,
you've been waiting for that for a long time, Paul. What?
I actually have teams that I just like and teams that I don't like.
You've had your eye on.
I kind of want West Ham to go down. I kind of want Leicester to go down. There's teams I don't want them to be in the Premier League anymore. Southampton needs to go down.
Yeah, I agree.
How are you going to hate on Leicester, man? They're a fucking Disney movie once upon a time.
They were great once upon a time, but it's just, I don't know. I've lost it for them. They can go.
It's a Midlands rival for Villa.
Was that
what?
It's a Midlands rival for Villa as well.
But that's not necessarily why I hate them. Like Wolves is too, but I don't really know about the Midlands.
Wait, do you hate them or do you just want them to go down?
I just want them to go down. I don't hate them.
Well, you're the one that said you hate them.
I do hate Southampton. They need to go down.
All right. Well, fuck, that's very heated.
I'm curious about this. I don't know if I agree with this. I think Newcastle's wage structure is going to change and has changed. But we all know too recently that the financial fair play has become a little bit more. It's having an effect more than it was.
Is Alex Hilton actually Brian Ireland? Is that like your bot account that you use to like post and agree with yourself online?
He's a Spurs fan. Yeah, knob.
Sure.
Yeah, knob. Did anybody see Madison's post-game interview last game?
Yeah. He's very well spoken.
Yes, but do not put him in front of a camera ever again after a loss.
What did he say? I didn't
he was just a beaten dog.
Yeah.
He's done there, man.
He's done there.
That team is done.
Yeah.
I think the morale. I mean, and they just got a brand new coach today. They just hired Dean Smith, We
should talk about that a little bit for a second. Like, what the hell is that appointment? Is that just till the end of the season?
John Terry.
Does anybody feel like Dean Smith is them conceding that they're probably not going to be a Premier League team that season?
He's usually hired to get you back up again or to play in the championship, right? I mean, you would know that from a Villa perspective. Right?
I would definitely know. He is a guy who can actually unite a dressing room. And that is definitely something that I feel like Leicester need. They need somebody who's going to give them a little bit of belief. He was in the championship, and he did really good for Villa. Like,
not very good.
Villa were cut and gone during that COVID period, and then all of a sudden we had that break because COVID hit. We didn't have games for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then when we came back, Villa played and got out of the bottom 3. We were like 6 points adrift or something. I think he has some qualities for a battler at the bottom end of the table, but it's definitely not your number one choice.
Does he keep them up for you? They were looking at Jesse
No.
March originally.
I think Jesse March doesn't
until
keep
this
him up
morning
either, though.
was the go-to. And
I
then
don't
Jesse
think
March
he
was,
keeps him up either.
Off the board.
I think Dean Smith. The problem with Dean Smith, and this is far and beyond this. He brought in Craig Shakespeare in the last 6 months of his Aston Villa manager career because his old guy that he used to work with apparently was not really in love with coaching anymore. So he brought in Craig Shakespeare to help him. And his old coach that he was with left. Well, as soon as Craig Shakespeare became his number one assistant, results really tanked for Villa. The playing style really went out the window. And for me, once Craig Shakespeare teamed up with Dean Smith, it wasn't working. And I just don't see.
Does that happen at
working
Leicester? Is
well.
Craig Shakespeare still with?
He's still with them. He came with them to
Yeah,
Leicester.
okay.
But this time he brought John Terry, who's honestly actually a pretty decent defensive coach.
Should they just hired John Terry and just went for it?
He won't do it. He says he won't do the manager role on his own. He just came out with an interview.
He's smart
not
though.
too
He's
long
smart.
ago.
He's not. He's like, I'm not Gerrard. I'm not fucking Lampard.
So
I don't know, man. I don't think it's an
I don't
issue with the
think-
assistant coach. I think the issue is he's not a very good coach. Like,
yeah, I think he's a good coach.
I
for
think
the
he's a good
championship. I don't
coach.
think he's a good Premier League coach.
I
I also
don't know
think-
if he's a Premier League coach.
Good
right,
point.
even bigger than I don't actually think he's a very good coach because I don't think he's a good coach. I think that's a very hard dressing room to go into and
Yeah.
turn people's attention to.
They're done.
focus on
They
staying
are
up here.
mentally.
Like Madison
done.
will do everything he can, I'm sure, to keep them up into
Vardy
the
will
league.
do
I'm
everything.
sure he will, but also mentally, he must be already preemptively planning what his next move is.
Yeah, you've got like 75% of that dressing room at Leicester just not. They're not playing.
And they still have like five of their
They're
starters
playing golf at this point.
are in their last like 4 months of their contract, 2 months of their contract.
Yeah, and there's that as well for sure.
That's the biggest thing I saw today was something like 9 and Forest had like 10 guys in their last 3 months. A bunch of clubs in the bottom 6 have a bunch of players. Like the lowest one had like 5 guys in their last 3 months of their contract.
Forest, didn't they just sign 26 players?
Yeah, but they still, some of them were only
Short-term
1 year
contracts or
deals.
what?
So they got a lot of guys coming up. I think I said there was some number like 24 guys coming up in their last 3 months of contract in those bottom 5 or 6 spots.
Yeah.
Wow. A lot of
I know we're
players.
talking a lot about Leicester, but I don't know. I still have a hard time thinking that Bournemouth are going to save themselves this season. At the end of the season, it's Leicester that goes down. Like, I think Southampton, Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth are still kind of where my head would be at for the drop. I know Bournemouth are now doing what they need to do, and they're taking points off of teams they need to beat. But
Spurs got Bournemouth at the weekend. Let's see how that goes.
yeah, I mean,
We're gonna lose.
yeah,
Leicester
Brian.
picks up points here and there. Bournemouth picks up points here and there. West Ham.
Brian's
picks up
team
points
is going to
here and there.
lose and then still magically be in the race of the top 4.
I don't know how we've done it. Like we've been so shit for like
Yeah.
like 3 months, and we're still in shit.
It's like Azaz
We
might
were
appreciate this. It's
fourth.
like watching a wrestling match
We
where the
could've
guy's
gone above
knocked out
United
and he
had
should be done. He should be dead, but somehow he's
Yeah.
still in
He's
it.
the guy who's
still
like,
getting up.
"Oh, I'm alive still."
I mean,
But don't
when we
you
play
think-
you guys
don't you
near the end
think-
of the season, it could be
Yeah.
for that 5th place
It's
spot.
absurd. I don't even get it. I don't understand. It's the league that's it's just such a mess. We should not
Yeah.
be where we are. We've been played such crap football for so long. It's nuts that we're even in the conversation. Really, it's because Liverpool and Chelsea are shit. That's really why. Like normally those 2 teams would be in that conversation. We'd be 8th because that's kind of where we should be this season. We're not good. It's crap.
We kind of avoided talking too much about Chelsea, but like Chelsea are
Woo,
fucking
they are
They're bad.
terrible.
terrible.
Eric, if you watch this, if
I
you
don't
got
know what
this
you're talking
far-
about. I think they were pretty good. Villa just
Terrible.
beat them like a redheaded stepchild. It was brutal.
They're crap.
What?
They're crap. Yeah, that's
Chelsea
that's-
went at
terrible.
Villa. They
They
threw
can run a
everything,
little
and they
past-
didn't.
I
Yeah,
mean,
hate
that's
guys,
fair amount.
can we just take a pause here? Chelsea fucking lost to Aston Villa.
Not even
Yeah.
1-0, 2-0.
What? They're crap.
They're so bad. They cannot score a
They're
freaking
so
goal.
bad.
That Liverpool Chelsea game was one of the worst games of football I've watched.
Shit.
They've had 4
Shit.
0-0
Shit.
games in a row. Those 2 teams. That is just
Yeah.
what is going on in the world when that happens. Absolute
Yeah.
trash. Trash.
Like, it's too bad Eric's not here, but
It's nice to talk about Chelsea this way.
I will always remember him saying
are
that
going to the league title challenge.
we were all talking about whether we were worried about Mudryk and whether or not he would work out, and there's all these like legitimate reasons why spending that much money on a kid who's untested is like worrisome and it could be a risk.
Yeah.
And his response was, "Well, no, he's got speed, and speed always wins." I was like,
did you guys see
how I was like,
about Chelsea? About
Raheem Sterling is a great fucking purchase for Chelsea.
Did you guys see the thing about Bowley though, not recognizing that if they're not automatically in the Champions League, that he didn't realize
in the WhatsApp.
Was that real or was that?
Yes,
like,
that was real. It was a real interview that he did where he said they asked like, "How are you going to be sponsored? How are you going to be? How's the club going to?
Are you going to pay for it?
Justify all these buys?"
And he said, "We're always in the Champions.
We're always in the Champions League. We have Champions League money." And then his assistant literally told him in the ear like, "Hey, we need to stop the interview. We need to talk to you." They pulled him aside. They told him, that's not how it works.
Oh man,
you have to make top four." And then he came back and said, well, we have to maybe readjust that little bit of our thinking, but it's okay. And
so it was real.
It was real.
No, it's 100% not real.
No.
JP's talking out of his ass because he read something. JP, show me the video. It's not a thing. It doesn't exist. It's just a thing people started talking about.
We need to see the video.
It
sounds like nonsense.
Granted, it is secondhand.
I know you're American and that you may be like reading things on Twitter and just passing it off like truth.
Yeah,
come on, the club from what's that guy's name?
It just sounds like it can't be true because it's absurd. If it is 100% like Ted Lasso sort of styles, not understanding the game whatsoever, and just completely shitting the bed. But you can't own a Premier League football team and not know that.
It's not true.
You can't. It just can't be true.
There's the amount of wild shit that's going on right now. Like there's a story going around that James Corden, the comedian and talk show host, has been giving him advice on managerial appointments.
Hold on. Did you guys hear the formation he wanted to play? A 4-4-3. He told his coach to play a 4-4-3. Yeah. That is not an exaggeration. That is not made up. That was
Who said that?
Story. The coach, the owner, Bowley. He said, he's like, they need to play a 4-4-3.
So he wants an extra player on the pitch. So
but again, show me the actual quote where he says
I just think it's just at this point just making fun of how dumb the guy is.
Entirely like everybody's just like, wouldn't it be funny if this was
football
true?
Manager stuff going on here with him. He's just
he definitely did think that Salah and De Bruyne came through the Chelsea academy.
He did. I remember that was true. I remember seeing that.
I've seen that interview.
Yeah. There are, and so I guess the escalation of the dumb things. It's a meme at this point, right? Like he could say these things, and you might be like, "Oh, I could see him saying that after saying."
The
something
Athletic
like that,
was reporting that Todd Bowley stated to Thomas Tuchel that he needs to play a 4-4-3, and the Athletic is pretty freaking high up.
Oh, the Athletic is reliable source. For sure.
I'll take it.
But that's the thing that we just agreed, not the thing that you said was true.
Oh, let me go. I can find that one too. Give me a few minutes. But this is so much fun. Let's just keep talking about Chelsea.
Yeah,
terrible.
It was brilliant.
They are an absolute mess.
Is there any notion, and as maybe this is a question because you might understand the question, is it better to tank properly so that next season you're free of any unnecessary commitments in Europe that you don't necessarily want to be a part of? Or is it better to still give it a go and try to finish somewhere in a European position and just deal with it next season? Because Chelsea can sort themselves out. They can bring in a striker. They can land a new coach. Right? They can do what they need to do.
Yeah.
Bad season, underperforming. But if they can get into a position where they don't have to do anything on Thursday nights and they just have to worry about the league.
I mean, Chelsea did that before. Like they finished 12th one season. The next season they won the league. They had the same squad. Conte came in. We all know the Arsenal story. The Arsenal game changed it. Won 15 in a row. Lost to Spurs to end that streak, but ended up winning the league that season.
Right.
I had to do that for you, JP. That was for you.
Is that better? Is that better for them?
Like, I think so at this point.
Is that almost like the win is just like kind of just coasted
bring
out?
It back down to a point and then slowly build it. It's not the same Chelsea that it was before. You're not under a Roman Abramovich scenario where he's going to bring in whatever big manager he wants and the players are going to play for him because they're throwing money at it. It's not the same. It just isn't. And that has to be accepted. And if you're Chelsea, you have to go, this is where we are now. Let's start fresh, simple. One game a week is the best way to do
their
it.
expectations.
They're
Fans
not
want
going
a title
to.
every 3 years.
They're Arsenal fans now. Because remember,
Yeah,
Arsenal
they are.
fans, it's the same thing. Oh,
Yeah.
we deserve this. We should have this because we had it
Yeah,
for
yeah.
so long.
Yeah,
in the
but
same scenario. Chelsea
they've also
fan
been in
TV is the
Champions
new
League
Arsenal
long enough,
fan TV.
JP, where they might just be like, yeah, anything but Europa. Like, no Champions League, fine. Anything but Europa. We'll finish 7th or 8th, and that's better than finishing in the top 6 and dealing with Europa.
100% it is.
I'll even pose a question now to Zazen. For Liverpool in a similar situation, would you rather finish outside European positions and not have to deal with that bullshit? If Champions League qualification's not in the cards, or would you be like, you know what, any European competition, anything in the top 6, anything that gets us ahead of as high the table we can is still the goal? Like, what's your thinking on that?
So Liverpool, even Man United, like, European football is in Mourinho's words, football heritage. Like, I don't hate on the Europa League. Like, Europa League is a very, very good tournament. Now, it's not the Champions League for sure, but at the same time, I kind of feel like 2000, 2001, and then even when we got to the final in 15-16, we beat United, we beat Dortmund. Both of those teams were ahead of us in curve-wise that time. That was Van Gaal's United and Tuchel's Dortmund when we got to the final against Seville. So I don't know how I feel about the Europa Conference situation, but like, I have no hate on the Europa League. It's absolutely nowhere near the Champions League. I accept that and I understand that. But then sometimes I'm in conversations with people who are like, for example, this week with Arsenal fans who are like, stepping to me, and I'm like, you've never won the Champions League. Like, it's the biggest competition in European football, and you've never won the Champions League, and you're stepping to me because we've got 1 season off. We've got 6 European Cups. So like, it's a really weird kind of thing where people think that for one minute people are like, Champions League is it's nothing actually. Like, we haven't won the Champions League, but we've got an invincible season, and it's like, yeah, but you haven't won the Champions League. So to me, it's like not the UK, but I think the Premier League needs a little bit of a reset as to how prestigious some of these tournaments actually are, including Europa. Like last year, Roma, which is a big Italian club, was buzzing off winning the friggin' Europa Conference League, you know, and like Europa, yeah.
Right. Well, now there's winning it, and then there's the pain in the ass that is competing in that tournament.
Not a
sure.
Include in
and that's what I said. I don't know about Europa. Sorry, about Conference League.
Conference League's been made up to add to the numbers. Europa League still has a history. It was the original Champions League before the Champions League was created. So it's European Cup, and then the Champions League was created because of UEFA and money, right? So there's a difference there and the value of it. I agree. The Champions League is the best one to win now because that's where it's gone. But the Europa League still is a large part of, like, there's a history there. To win it is still meaningful. It's a quality trophy to win. Whereas
Alexander's
just got added 4 seasons ago.
Alexander been kind enough to give us the ranking. He thinks it's Champions League first, EPL second, Europa League third, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, and then Conference League.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Other than I would switch 1 and 2 because, but that's because I think the league is harder to win than a tournament. But you could flip them, any day of the week for sure. But the rest of it, I would agree with 100%.
I think I take the Premier League because it's
me too.
I just haven't won it in so long. I miss it.
I just think
me too, guys. Thanks.
38 games.
You're cute,
to be the best team after 38 games is harder than being the best team after. How many do you play in a Champions League tournament? How many games do you play?
About 15 to win.
Yeah, so it's a third. Shorter. A third, and they're like sectioned, and there's draws that you can get. You can get an even draw. In the Premier League, you play each team twice.
I guess what I'm saying though is, like, we are talking about prestige of these tournaments, and we're talking about winning it, and that's cool if you win it. But also, it is a massive pain in the ass to the schedule to be playing Thursdays and then have to worry about.
For sure, I agree with
the
that.
Weekend. I was rooting for this last year. Like, I didn't want Man United to qualify for Europa. I was just like, we don't need the headache. Like, it just feels like just tank it. Like, if you're going to miss the top 4, if you're going to miss Champions League, just fucking, who cares where you finish after that? Just as long as you're still in the league.
Yeah,
Players
I
are
agree.
great
I
at
agree,
it,
I
you
agree
guys.
with that to some extent, but then also when you like, Spurs. The obvious joke is, which everybody's going to say and can add to it now if you want. We haven't won a trophy. We've won one trophy in the last 22 years.
Yeah.
Getting a Europa League trophy would be massive for Spurs,
Sure.
and it could help us push on to get other ones, and potentially, and that's usually what you need is some momentum. But it is a good trophy in that scenario. But teams, even Spurs, in the times we were in the Europa League in the last 7 years, didn't really put the effort into it. It was more of a second string. Okay, it's Thursday, like you said, Paul. Thursday, Sunday. That Thursday night, you didn't put the necessarily the right team to win it. And then so you struggled, and then you get the game on the Sunday, and then the game on the Sunday means maybe you're not in the top 4 anymore because you know what I mean? Like it's a mess. It's difficult to play in both of those competitions. Champions League is like Tuesday, Wednesday. The likely play Saturday, and then the people who or the teams who are in those tournaments, the squads, that their schedule is more of like I'm playing at the highest level, so I don't have to work on Sunday. I know that sounds sort of basic, but I think if you're a player and you're like, I work Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday nights, and I'm done, and then I have Sunday off, I get to see my family, and I go back to work on Monday. There's something about that. If you work Thursday night and have to work Sunday and you don't get your Saturday night, like there's something about that. I think that players probably from their own perspective are going, man, I'm not there yet,
So as with all this considered,
about
like for Liverpool, what would you prefer? Would you prefer an 8 or a 9 spot?
I don't even know if I have a choice, to be honest, because we are so fucking inconsistent that like I don't even know if we get to choose. It might be like a tanking where we're actually not deliberately tanking.
Right.
It's just we can't
Oh
buy
yeah,
a
of
string
course.
of wins.
I'm not suggesting anybody should
You
deliberately
have
tank,
one
but
option.
I am saying
8th or
as
9th,
fans, you don't cheer as
9th.
hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just
He
like
chooses 9th.
Yeah, you're less pissed off when you lose in those scenarios. You're like, okay, whatever.
There's a certain
we're out
point
of
of
that
the season
now.
where it's all gravy. Like North American
One
sports
game a
have
week.
this. It's like gravy. We're gonna get a high draft pick. Just keep losing. I don't care. Like it's fine.
Spurs fans did that when we got tanked out of the Champions League and the FA Cup in like a week and a half. It basically happened in the span of 2 weeks. And Spurs fans do what Spurs fans do, and we just kind of accept it and be like, Conte is pretty good at playing one game a week. Like, there was sort of this excuse you sort of make in your head to accept that that's like a reasonable position to be in, which is, again, Spursy and unfortunate. But
I got a question for you guys.
Where we are.
What are the chances of Aston Villa finishing in a European spot?
Thanks.
And I mean conference, Europa, Champions League. Like,
sorry, say that
you
again.
guys-
I missed that because
what
Paul put
is-
up a stupid thing.
what is the chances of Aston Villa with the form we are on? God damn it, I gotta repeat it. Finishing
Nobody can hear you, man.
in a Europa spot, a conference league spot. What do you guys think?
Nah.
Where are your points? I'd have to look at it. How far out?
We're 3 points off you, actually.
Wait, how do you say it again? Aston
3 points off Alex?
Villa?
Aston Villa.
Is that it?
Yeah.
With an
Go
A?
ahead, look them up. Google them real quick.
Villa? It's not Aston Villa.
Aston Villa.
6
Oh,
points.
I'm sorry,
behind,
6
so-
points. 6
I was
points.
going to say, come on, mate. I mean, you're
I just
behind
gotta scroll.
us.
I'm scrolling down the table. I'm gonna find it. Hang on.
Really, we're 2 spots below you. You arrogant
No,
shit.
no. I'm not arrogant. I just didn't
Here it
know
is.
you were
Not
that
you.
close.
I was calling Paul.
To be
it is.
fair, you guys deserve it. Like, you guys deserve to be in that position. I think you'll finish in Europe. I really do.
God, dog.
Let me see.
Chill.
Mhm.
Is that you, JP?
No, that's my
Uh,
dog right next to me wanting to go for a walk, so he's squeaking his toy.
All right. Well, let's mute your mic at the moment.
No,
JP,
kidding.
I don't like it, buddy.
care.
I don't like it.
I
I don't like your
think there's
chances.
too
You're
many
above
games
Brighton
in
at the
hand.
moment.
Yeah, but they
Brighton
got
have 2 games in hand.
You got to win the
Damn it,
games in
dogs.
hand. Can't just say
Yeah,
you got 2
no,
games in
2
hand.
2 games
win
in
'em.
hand. I know,
2 games in hand.
Brian. I
So
hate
they
when people
win one
say
and they
that.
lose one. If we're
I
gonna go
hate when
50-50.
people say that. By the way, well, they got to win that game. They got to win that game. It's like, cool, yeah, I get it, but it's 2 opportunities to get 3 points. It's
It's
6
also
2
the
and yeah.
opportunity to not get in.
Two.
Like you have
Yeah,
to
they
consider.
could, but they're also a very good team.
I mean,
It's
Liverpool
Brighton.
could pass us with their win with their game in hand.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, we could potentially drop down to 8th just by those.
Yeah.
So,
to
like,
answer your
this
question,
league this
JP, I
season
don't
is the way it
like
is
your
now.
chances. I think Brighton have got a really good team this year. I think they've got something really good going on there.
They're very good to watch.
We have more wins
And I
than
think
they do.
Liverpool are still underperforming, but like
Villa, third best
knows?
team in the league in this year, so they have to be given
Since
the
Unai
credit
took
they
over,
deserve.
yeah.
Really do. As good as Brighton or better.
Azaz, what do you
in
think?
In
What's
recent
our
games.
chances, Azaz?
Have to give it to
I
him.
think, yeah, I really like what Emery's doing. I think the run is amazing. You just have to prove it in the crunch time of the season. It's like not quite like the playoffs in North America, but like this last 6-7 weeks is relentless. And it's like, yeah, it's like
cup finals
scrapping for
week,
those
right?
points.
Like, you gotta
Like some teams will have like 5, 6, 7 cup finals from now on, which is one of the reasons why I was joking around about us not even having a chance, because Liverpool seem to lack motivation. Aston Villa seem very well drilled, but when you're coming up against teams that are either trying to win the league, or they're trying to get in the Champions League, or they're trying to beat the drop, like Villa, what will it come down to? You know, like it's those small details that takes it over. If I was saying yes or no, I'm probably going to agree with Paul and say no. You won't get it, but if you did, I wouldn't be surprised. And by the way, just as well, it is also fascinating to see how close the Champions League race is as well. I mean, Paul's talking all about Europa this way. There's a very good chance that a team that was meant to be winning the quadruple a few weeks ago might also end up in Europa. So let's just see how this.
Let's just all hope is
goes
that.
from here on. No. Like obviously,
fourth,
my
Spurs
rival.
finish third, Man United finish fifth. It'd be great. I love that.
No. It's not likely.
I know, but it's fun to think about.
Like the points in hand, but like it's so interesting how they've been sucked into this as well. Because from my perspective, I thought they were literally done and dusted about a month ago. I thought like third place is done.
No,
and then suddenly that win against the defeat against Newcastle, and they've now been pulled into this
Casemiro red card.
Spurs play Newcastle and Man United in the last one.
And Newcastle play
and Villa. And Villa.
Oh, there's some massive games coming. Massive games coming.
Like I'm a United fan. I don't think top four is locked up by any stretch. Like
that's really interesting because
Rashford just got injured. By the way, like there's
Man U
and
it's gonna be fun.
We don't know yet.
Yeah, Villa got Newcastle, Man U, and Tottenham.
Yeah.
If Villa upsets any one of those,
they're in it.
We beat United or we beat Tottenham. That literally could be it for one of those teams out of the top four.
It's going to be Spurs, man, for sure. It's a game. It's no problem.
The problem in that top.
Oh, JP, I got you one. Sorry, this is just exciting. I just learned this because JP's talking about all this shit about how they could give banana peels to teams that are in a different race from him. Worry about your own race because you're against Brighton and your last game of the season, my friend, is against Brighton.
But we were never supposed to be here.
No, man. But
there's
let's ease into this. Don't
fucking light years ahead of where we're supposed to be.
How exciting is that?
The banana peel, Paul.
That is very fun.
Are you kidding me? We're talking about Brighton and Aston Villa being in a race, and I just called out that they play each other in the last day.
But neither of them are expected to be there. So either wherever they finish, they're both like, woohoo, we're in Europe.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
If we draw and it means both of us get Europe over Liverpool or even conference, Villa fans are going to go.
So wait, am I understanding this correctly? You don't think that's going to be an exciting game because it doesn't matter?
No,
Ryan keeps saying it doesn't matter.
Nobody said that. Nobody said it wasn't going to be an exciting
All
game.
Villa games are exciting again. Are you
kidding me? You did just say it doesn't matter.
We are winning again. Are you?
Doesn't matter, meaning that either way they're going to be in Europe. So the exciting game's going to be fun to watch, but they're both in the competition where they're not supposed to be, arguably. And so that in itself is exciting. So who gives a fuck if they lose or not? I'm not saying that they're not.
I find this reaction to this information of the schedule to be shockingly low key right now. I'm telling you, we just talked about Brighton, Aston Villa being in a race and they're playing each other the last day, and you're like,
Europa.
But
nobody's saying we're just.
I do think it's just
Brian
interesting. The final last.
You poo-pooed this news with your reaction, Brian.
I do not care. I'm shitting all over you, Paul.
I got JP talking about upsetting teams that are in the top four, and he doesn't even give a shit about his own race playing Brighton the last day of the year. That's
one game.
If we upset teams in the top four, that puts us closer to a top four race. Because
8 games left, guys. 8 games.
We've won 6 of our last 7, right? And the other one was a tie.
Are you talking about being in a top 4 race though?
If we beat Newcastle, man,
you went from asking us if you could finish in top 6, and now you think you're going to be a top 4 race?
Why not think about it? You got a fucking dream, JP. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to happen.
19 points out of 21. What do you want from us?
Third in the fucking division.
That's why, JP. Don't listen to the Spurs guy. Don't fall into his way.
You guys are going to shit the bed.
I didn't get Conte. We got Emery. Emery gets defenses.
Emery might get you there, JP.
He's
Up the
never
Villa,
had below
up the Villa,
50%
fuck
win
United.
ratio.
How about
I'll
that?
take
Let's
it.
go with it.
I don't even know why you're
Let's
bringing
wrap
my
this
team
up.
into the conversation. All I said
It's
was, I don't
fun,
think you can
Paul.
get it.
It's
Top
fun.
6 was the question.
Like and
I said
subscribe,
Brighton are
fans.
favorites, and you're playing Brighton the last day of the season.
That's
And
like,
everybody's
I'm out.
like, yeah,
Last
well, that
game
doesn't
of the season,
matter.
there's 8 left. Let's get through those first, Paul. You're getting a little ahead of yourself.
I am not getting ahead of myself.
You are. You went straight
This
to the
is
last
North
game.
End
of the season.
YouTube channel.
It's interesting that you're saying I got ahead of
Please
myself,
like it.
where
I wish I
JP's
had the
talking
power to
about
stop.
beating Tottenham, Newcastle, Man United,
I didn't say
and,
JP
and
did
going in
have
the top
himself.
4.
You
And you
both
just
did.
told him he should dream.
You both did.
Hey,
You're setting
could
JP
happen.
up to get his heart broken. Brian.
He's setting himself up.
In
He doesn't need me.
Spursy ways.
He does not need me. Welcome to the club, JP. Enjoy it.
Anyways,
welcome
JP,
to you,
question,
YouTube
no,
channel,
you're not
everyone.
making it
Thank you,
clear.
Alex.
It's painful, and it's going to suck for you, just like it sucks for me. And people
That's
are
what
going
it
to call
is.
you.
He doesn't
Fergie.
want to be
Thank you,
alone in his
man.
pain, JP.
And I'm
Don't fall
gonna
for
high
it.
five you and be like, "Welcome to the club, buddy." The almost do it.
He just wants you to be in the same pain point.
I would
he is.
take.
I need
those
somebody.
almost
I need
right
somebody
now.
to suffer with me, Paul. Somebody needs to suffer.
We were in the bottom.
Well, you have
3
Eric.
when we fired Steven Gerrard.
I got Alexander
Thank
in the
you,
comments.
Steven
He's
Gerrard.
suffering with me. He knows.
But you have Eric.
Oh, Eric.
Okay.
Eric is beyond me. I mean, fuck me.
I know, but like that's what I'm saying. For
Oh,
once,
God,
God is
he's
giving
down.
you somebody to look down on, and his name is Eric, a Chelsea fan.
Let's wrap it. Let's wrap it.
Lower table, isn't he? 11th or some shit like that?
Yeah, he's done.
They're
Anyways,
garbage.
folks,
That's been
like
fun,
and
guys. That was
subscribe.
fun. Yeah.
Like and subscribe.
Gotcha.
Hit the buttons. Hit all the buttons. Tell your friends. Tell your
Well
mom.
done.
Tell your mom I say hi. Whatever you have to do. This
Wow.
has been the
Tell
North
your
End
mom I
podcast.
Tell your mom I said hi.
And with that,
That's the mic drop. That's the
This is the North End. This is the North End.